Hey guys, Dan Saavedra here from mergerdata.com, and today I'm going to be going into customer journey reports inside of HubSpot. So this is a newer report that I see a lot of people missing out on when we're engaging with certain clients. And so it's something that I wanted to just give a video of so we can show people what the opportunities are around this type of report. It's a really good one. It's a really powerful one. And so it opens up a lot of opportunity for some deep analysis inside of HubSpot to make your sales and marketing processes better. And so before diving into the actual report, I like to start on this page here just to describe to people the framework I use when trying to decide which report to build. And so I'm just going to focus on these last three newer report types in HubSpot. I believe they were all released within the past like 2-3 years or something like that. And so when I'm thinking about certain questions I want to ask around a customer journey or a deal journey, I'll think of the questions where, why, how, what, and then using those questions, I'll decide which report to build. And so when I'm looking at customer journey reports, it's because I want to see how a customer started and ended in the customer journey. I want to see who actually made it to various steps in the journey, and I want to see how. And then if I'm looking at attribution, it's because I want to see what influenced them to get to a certain point. And then funnels, I want to see where they got to and maybe how they got to it as well. But funnels are really a very rudimentary type of analysis, in my opinion. You can build a much more refined view with customer journey reports that give you the same type of information that funnels would, but just in a more detailed manner, so you can control the paths that people are taking through the funnel. And so funnels are still very useful, especially if you're just looking for that traditional view of contacts or deals and how they went through the stages that you have set up. But customer journey reports are going to let you get very, very detailed and modular with different parts of the customer journey and how they associate to the various stages. And so let's say we want to see how customers are traveling along the journey, where they're going and how they're going about that. We're going to go to the customer journey reports here. Maybe that framework isn't for you. Maybe I threw out too many questions there. For me, that's how I think about it. So when you go to this next page here, you'll have contacts and you'll have deals. And so if you want to think of the customer journey from the contact perspective, meaning you wanted to see how individuals are flowing through the customer journey itself, then you would select contacts there. If you're looking to have more of an aggregated view of how a deal is traveling through the journey, meaning that maybe you have multiple contacts involved and you don't want to overweight certain paths, then you could use deals, because obviously if all the contacts are associated to one deal, then that one deal is going to close. You're not going to have 8 contacts that turn into customers, which would happen in your contact customer journey. So for me, that's the major difference when I'm thinking about the two. Contacts, you do have to be a little bit aware of if you're an enterprise account and you're doing deals with, hundreds of people connected to them. I don't know why you would have hundreds, but let's say it's 10 or 15, then you'll have an overweighted journey for deals that close when there's that many people involved, just because all of those contacts should be syncing in their customer lifestyle, in their contact lifecycle stage together. And so 10 to 15 of those contacts would be coming in MQL and SQL, and then a customer. Where with the deal, you have one deal, goes all the way to closed one. That's it. So that's what you have to watch out for. So we're going to start with contacts here and click on next. And it'll bring you to this page, and you'll see quite a few different options here if you scroll down on the left-hand side. So you can see all these different categories. If you've been building out reports and workflows, then you'll be familiar with a lot of these. And then at the very top here, you have the report type that you can still toggle as well. So I actually don't know. Let me see here. Let me just do a basic one. So I'll drop on a lead. Let me see if I can change it after deals. Okay, so even though that option is still enabled, when you drop on configurations, you won't be able to switch it switch the object type after you start configuring. So this is pretty useless after you've actually configured anything in it. So just keep that in mind. But I'm gonna start off with a very simple example here by just using the contact lifecycle stages. And so if we drop these into each stage here, we'll see that these are all separate. And we have Sankey selected. I like to do rolling most of the time, so I'll keep it last 365 days for now, so we get a lot of data in there. But you have your 5 of 15 steps that are configured here. And so with certain events on the left-hand side, you'll be able to filter. So you'll be able to add in more specific criteria while you're building out this timeline. But with the contact lifecycle stages, you won't be able to do that. But one thing that you'll notice is when I hover over these, you can see that it's required initially, but you can mark the middle ones as optional. So you can't mark the first and last ones because you need those. And so instead you can mark these as optional. And I'll show you what this does. And so I'm going to run this report here. So because you're doing such a custom build, it's not like the other reports in HubSpot. You have to run or refresh the report after you configure it, just because it's highly customized and you're calculating each of those journeys. And so you can see here, like, we have stage 1 through 5, these stages, and basically no one has linearly gone from lead all the way to customer and touched each of these stages. And so with this example account, this is just because it's sample data. Like, you should probably have some people who follow the entire lifecycle stage journey that you have set up. But because that's not the case here, what we can do is mark all of these middle ones as optional and refresh the report. And this will give us a better idea of who has actually made it from the first point to the last point, so lead to customer. And so you can see now, okay, we have 339 that have gone all the way through to this stage. And we can see some interesting things here. So the cool part about customer journey reports is it obviously gives you insights into the actual customer journey, but it's also going to give you insights into how good or bad your data quality is. And so, for example, we can see here, if we hover over customer, that everyone is coming from SQL to customer, and for some reason, they seem to be skipping, let's see, MQL, because we're going lead to SQL to customer. And then none are going to opportunity and then customer. And so we can see here that there's some type of data quality issue with this demo account. Like, people are skipping the MQL and opportunity stages for some reason. So something's configured incorrectly. Now, obviously people shouldn't be expected to always go through each stage in the lifecycle stage. They might skip for some reason. But for the most part, most of your customer journeys should be through almost all of the stages, especially if you have a repeatable sales process. So switching these to optional clearly caused a difference here. And then if we click on show drop off, it's going to refresh. And then it basically splits it out so it's a little bit easier to read. Otherwise, it's, as you saw, it was very overlapped before. And so now you can see it's not just who made it to that specific next stage. You also see, like, okay, 10,176 dropped off and didn't go to that next stage. So we have drop-offs in each part of the funnel. That's a great analysis if you want to see where people are dropping off in the lifecycle stage. So maybe you can tweak that a little bit to increase conversions or push people to the next stage. The other thing that's really cool about customer journey reports is they provide these quick calculated metrics below. So the stuff you probably care about: total conversion, cumulative conversion. And you can even hover over these to see more about the definitions, because for me, cumulative conversion didn't really mean much when I read it. Percentage of users who complete the entire journey without skipping any stages. And so that's what we were talking about with the required versus optional. And then you have your average time to complete journey and average time between steps. So this is cool just because you want to see from step one in your timeline to the end, how long it's taking people to complete that journey. And so in reality, what we would probably do is, let's say we have pages visited, and we'll put that as the first one instead. We'll be able to see when someone first visits the website to when they become a lead to all the way to when they become a customer. Now, obviously, it's dependent on how much you can attribute and track, and so it won't be perfect. It won't cover, it probably won't cover like a large portion of the actual activity happening, but it's still cool to know. So you see stage one here, we have the pages visited, and then we see that a lot of these people became leads. Now, obviously, that's because we're not including anonymous visitors. So if we did that and refresh the report, we'll get a lot better data. And HubSpot should pull in basically all of the page visits here from all different users, all different unique users. And that's what it did. So you can see 118,000 who are not known contacts. And so this is more of an accurate picture. Like, we had 118,000 people come into the website, and 11,000 of them actually turned into a lead, meaning they submitted some type of form. So that's great. Like, you can see exactly the percentage here. 9% of people are converting into a lead here. And so that's useful. You can see how you're converting on your website and focus on increasing that metric. And you can also see how easy it was just to throw in an additional timeline step. And so right now we're just really scratching the surface. This is a super, super simple example here. And if you scroll down, like, you can see all of this stuff that you can put in. And so depending on how you have everything set up, I mean, you can cater this journey report to anything that you want, including your marketing emails, including your meetings, including whatever, payments, any of that stuff. So you can get super into the weeds here. If you have a customer journey that you've already mapped out, like, that's the path that they take and the assets that they interact with, then you can go build it. And honestly, outside of the very basic customer journeys, when using this tool, that's what I would suggest, because otherwise you're gonna get lost in the sauce. Like, you can't, it's just too much. Like, there's so many different things that you can throw on the timeline that you're just going to be dragging and dropping and doing all this exploration, which is fine, but you might just waste an entire day and not find anything useful. So depending on how you like to do your analysis, how you like to do your exploration, that could be good. But I always like to say, okay, I like to start with the end in mind. So this is the problem. We're trying to fix this and provide a solution. What's the data behind it? What's the root cause of this issue? And so if we had overall conversion issues from people who submit that first form to becoming a customer, then I would get really into the details on each part of the journey and the different assets, and then just map that out in here, put all 15 stages in. Like, they submitted this first form and became a lead. Okay, what are these marketing emails doing? What are these messages doing? How about meetings after this meeting with this specific person? Are they dropping off? And that type of stuff. So you can get really into the details. Start with the end in mind for the complex ones so that you don't get lost in all this configuration. Now, since I dropped the pages visited on, I'll go into one more detail for this quick walkthrough, because this wasn't supposed to be like a lecture, like a course where I have everything planned out. It's more of an exploration. We'll do a couple things. One, you can rename these steps. So if you want to be more specific after you build it, let's say you come back 6 months later, you're like, okay, pages visited, but now I want to look at the filters. That gets annoying. So instead, you could rename pages visited here and do like filtered on pricing, right? And rename that step. But more importantly, I like this better because when you're sharing reports on dashboards and stuff and with other people, you're going to see these stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is completely useless. You don't want to hover over each of these. That's annoying. And so instead, what I like to do is rename the stage. And so I just obviously rename it whatever is inside here. So this would be like pricing page views, for example. And so then when it's on the report, we have to refresh the report for it. But once we refresh the report, it's going to show up there at the bottom. And so you'll see that if HubSpot will load here. And so now we see pricing page views. So this makes it easier to read for people who are consuming these reports, especially if you're sending it to like your CMO or CSO or something like that. They're not going to want to hover over this and waste their time with that, right? So just put it out there so they don't have to dig into the details. That's the next note. And then last thing, we'll go into the filters. So these filters are outside of the life cycle stages. You can't filter further on that. And so it's pretty much anything else on here. So let's say like a form submission. And I lied, I'm going to go into one more thing actually. If you saw when I hovered over it, provides the branch options. And so I'm going to show you that after as well. But you can use a filter here, add filter. You can filter by event property. It's pretty much similar to workflows and other reports where you can just filter or in lists and stuff like that, where you can filter by whatever properties are associated with that event happening. And so by the way, you can also use custom events in here. So at the bottom, you see registration started at the very bottom. So I could drop a custom event as well. So if you've gone into custom events, number one, check out the videos on the YouTube channel where I go over custom events because they're super powerful. But number two, you can use them here in your customer journey report. And so you can make this even more powerful because if you're very specific with your custom events and you're feeding in custom events not only from your website, but let's say you're like a SaaS company, you can feed in custom events from usage. For example, let's say you sign up an additional user, you can see that in the customer journey. So you'll be able to see, okay, they added a new user, which is my custom event, and then they renewed their contract and upgraded the next time. So stuff like that. It's a simple example, but you can use your creativity and figure that out for your business. So yeah, you can filter by whatever you want here. I'm going to show, I accidentally deleted that, but that's okay. It's easy to re-add. So we'll do page views again because I like that filter better for this explanation. Add filter. And so then this is much easier. Let's say we do URL and then we just do it contains any of pricing, right? I don't think this demo has any pricing on it, but you can add those filters. You can add as many as you want. You do and statements, the whole 9 yards, you know the drill. So that's it for filters. You can use those. And then the other thing is when you saw me drag that form submission on there, you could see that it gives the create a branch option. See? And so you can combine really anything here, or like really any event. You can see I put a customer lifecycle stage of lead with a form submission. So either one of those, and I build this journey report, right? Let me clear this filter before we go and refresh a report. But I'm going to delete stage 2 now. And then I'm actually going to remove this and then do a more realistic one so you can see how the visualization changes, because this is a really useful concept. So as we can see, people aren't really going through the entire customer journey. So we marked them as optional, which puts them in a linear fashion. But now, if we drag SQL as a branch, and then we drag opportunity as a branch, we have all three of those as just one portion of the customer journey, but it can be either one of those. And it's not actually going to group them all together, I don't believe. Don't quote me on that until I refresh. Okay, so we have MQL, SQL, and opportunity inside of stage 3 here. And so it doesn't group them together. You can see it still has them split up, but the visualization is so much easier to understand because we know that the customer journey isn't typically followed in a linear fashion. We now have a grouping of those middle stages so that we can have a better idea of just the flow of customers through that. So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty powerful. Oftentimes, like, you have to do crazy amounts of work inside of databases and inside of BI tools in order to get something like this. And HubSpot has that built right in, just accessible for you based off of your CRM data. And obviously, like we said, CRM data has to be good. you'll discover that it's not in these customer journey reports. So that might be something that you come across. But I'm gonna cut this off here. I might make a second video with the deal perspective and diving into exact examples, but we'll see how much time we got in this upcoming few weeks. So hopefully you found this video useful. I run mergerdata.com. We're basically a HubSpot technical team. We do stuff like this all the time, complex reporting, API integrations, whatever with data in HubSpot. We don't do like the standard marketing activities in there and configurations. But if you run into big problems with the data, then and other apps that connect data to the platform, then reach out to us. I do the strategy calls on our website. So if you want to have a quick call and just pick my brain a little bit, it's a nasty term, but pick my brain about some things, and feel free to book a call. I'll be happy to chat for a little bit, meet you, see what's going on. So I'm Dan Saavedra. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.